Hello, and welcome to the Books You Can Sink Your Teeth Into podcast. I am very glad you are here. Thank you for joining us. This week, we're going to get back to reviewing books like we were before. We created a new Civil War podcast, which is going to be a standalone thing, which you can watch and enjoy if you're a Civil War buff. But we're going to get back to our normal format of reviewing books. And so, this week, we're going to review a book by Ernest Hemingway. It is called For Whom the Bell Tolls. This book you may have read in high school, college. If you haven't read it, I'm going to recommend that you do. This is really a piece of Americana that you should read in your life. It's not one of those books that is going to change your thinking about anything, but my gosh, his writing is pretty incredible. Now, as you know, I am a big Pride and Prejudice fan. Author Jane Austen, I love her writing. To me, she's probably the best English writer in the world. I'm just going to say that. That's my opinion. I don't think anybody can. In my opinion, I think she is the best. But Ernest Hemingway, he's right behind her. The reason I say that is Ernest Hemingway, if you don't know, he was a journalist. He's of course a very famous American author, and this book in particular kind of dealt with some real life experiences that he had. So let's give a synopsis of this book. So it's pretty much about an American who finds himself in Spain during a difficult time. This was pretty much the Spanish Civil War, and he was instructed to go and blow up a bridge. Right, he was a merchant. Not merchant marine. Yeah, it would be in the ocean. He was a mercenary, and he was instructed to go and blow up a bridge. And he meets some interesting people. He meets the communist the fighters, and he meets them and stays with them. And actually, he's supporting them. He's blowing up the bridge on their behalf. So, because he was part of the Communist Party. Now, when I say this, of course, a lot of you, and especially in today's age, it's like, oh no, communists, evil. But, when we look at, if we can take out the hysteria that's given to us by Fox News, communism is nothing more than a political ideology, which it's failed. I mean, it never worked. I mean, if you really understood it, right? So, like for me, I've read the Communist Manifesto. I've researched it, right? And I mean, it's like one of those things that on paper it sounds good, but in practicality it will never work. Which is why, like when we look at like Russia and China, they have their own versions of communism. Communism basically says, everyone should share. Everyone should share in the wealth. That you work as a community and you share in the wealth. Somebody else said that very interestingly. His name was Jesus. But yeah, that's the ideology. Now, of course, could it ever work? No. And I think anybody who ever reads these things can know, right? I know I did. As soon as I had a class and we had to read it, and I remember when the professor asked me what my thoughts were. I thought, I thought that the theory was great. Yeah, who wouldn't want to live in an equalitarian society, right? But I said it's not realistic. And the professor actually kind of gave me a look. What do you mean it's not realistic? And I go, because number one, it does not account for human greed, number one, and it does not account for human desire for power. And I think I kind of shook him with that answer because he knew I was right, which is why communism has never worked. It's never worked anywhere it's been implemented. Because if you look at China now, what do they have? They have a capitalist society. They have a capitalist society with a called communism, right? So it's not, and the same thing with Russia, same thing with Cuba. None of these countries have what true, but okay. Getting back to the book and the day and age this was, that's when communism was first introduced to the world. And why was it so popular? Well, you look at the destitution that people lived in, right? Where the haves had it all and the have-nots had nothing. They didn't have roofs over their head. They were destitute. They had no food, right? So when you bring in a theory like this, like communism, it's very, very attractive, right? Especially people who have not. And so there are a lot of people back in those days that would fight for it. And that's what this book is dealing with. It's a group of underground communist fighters trying to blow up a bridge. And while he doesn't really dive into politics that much, you just know that they are. He goes into characters and the character studies. And my gosh, the characters are just fantastic. Oh my gosh, you get your heart is broken for one character. I mean, you fall in love with another. This really, really well done. I guess the only negative that I would say about this book is that you got to really want to read it. It's slow moving. Okay, you can watch grass grow faster than sometimes the plot moves in this book. That's maybe unfair to say, but yeah, it does move slow. It does move. He does take his time, but it's not like it's not worth it. It's you don't really mind it, but I know a couple points like, what, we're still laying in the field? I mean, guys, could you at least move a little bit? So, but yes. So that's our book this week. For Whom a Bell Tolls, by Ernest Hemingway. I would strongly recommend you read this if you haven't. It's well worth it, and you'll really come out with a real great appreciation for Hemingway as a writer, for the characters that he talks about. It does not get heavy into the politics, believe me. It's more about the character development, what they're trying to do, and their interactions, and all, more so than it has any political. It's just, he had to set the stage, and that's basically what he did with that. So don't be afraid that, oh no, I'm going to read this and all of a sudden I'm going to want to become a communist. No, that's not the case. You're going to read this and you're going to have a lot to think about with the characters and everything. And yeah, I think you'll be moved. I was. So, all right. Well, thank you all for watching. Next up, we have the one and only, the infamous, maybe I should say, Count Vlad. He apparently went on a cruise. How does he do these things in the daylight? I don't know. He's a vampire, not supposed to be in the sun, but somehow he gets away with it. So we will talk to you all next week. Thanks again. Cheers. Hello everyone, it is I, the Count, and welcome. I am very happy that you are here. The Count, yes, like the previous course said, the Count was on a cruise. Yes, people think, oh, that's so strange, a vampire going on a cruise. But no, not so strange. The vampires love the cruise. Do you know why? Because it is a smorgasbord, a buffet for us. Oh, those are people, one place. The vampire can easily move about, drinking the little blood here, a little blood there. Nobody knows. Everybody drinking so much booze. They don't know what's happening. And then the vampire, he gets drunk too because he's drinking the blood of the people, drinking the alcohol, and so everybody happy. So the vampire Loved the cruise. And the Count, I went on the cruise. Yes, I went to the islands of the Caribbean. That's right, where all the pirates used to be. Yes, used to be pirates. I can't know very many of them. I know the Jack Black, the pirate. The pirate. No, the red beard and the blue beard and the black beard and the purple beard as well. Not too famous him. He fell into a, a a big thing of iodine and he became purple, so they call him Purple Beard. But he was not too famous, no. No, he cried a lot. Yes, he was very sensitive, especially if you say a commenter. He didn't like the name Purple Beard, so yeah. So Count had a very nice cruise. I went with the Queen Lilith, and we had a lot of fun. She liked to do her own thing. She liked clubbing. So she was out the clubbing all the time. And then the Count, I liked the buffets. The Count hung out at the buffet a lot. And yeah, so we kind of back and now Yalkabud coming back, and now we are going to do the podcast. So this host, Grante Miller, he's talking about this book. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. For whom the bell tolls. Do you know what this book is? Boring. Just don't read it. Blow it out. Like that. Do you know why it's boring? Because I knew the Count. I knew Ernest Hemingway. Yes, I met him. And in a real life, like his book, that man is boring. Oh my gosh. Go on and on and on and on. And the Count is like, oh my gosh. Dude, I'm falling asleep, and I'm a vampire, and I don't really need to sleep during the night, but you're putting me to sleep. So, so I have a better book for you to read. The book you want to read is Ravenscythe. Yes. Do you know why you should read Ravenscythe? The reason is the Count has been promised that I will be in the new book coming out. Yes, there's a part 2 that's coming out very soon. But the Count will be in the book 3. Yes, and the authors, the Beth and Flowers and the Grand Miller, they promised me that the book would be all about me, the Count, my life, and I would be put in it. Now we know that book 1 and 2, and my lovely girlfriend, partner Lilith was in it, and yeah, she, but now it's the Count's turn, and so the Count is going to have a feature in the book. That's what they promised, and if they don't come through with the promise, Beth and the Flowers and the Grand Miller, then the Count is not going to be happy, and you do not want to see an angry Count Vlad. Just take my word for it. Another good book that you want to read, which also, I don't want to spoil it, but it is one of my favorite books. It's this one, Dead Adrenaline 2. Yes, Dead Adrenaline 2, Time Break Expedition The Return. The ending is fantastic. I talked to the author, the Clinton Kertika, and he told me that the Count Vlad will be in the next book he promised. He made the promise. And so the Count will have to make sure that I'm in the book as well. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this small little podcast. It is good to see you. I will be back next week. This is the Count, signing off, saying adieu.